Every day, a battle rages on inside you. An unseen conflict between your restless mind and the voice of your soul. The soul, desperate for peace and purpose, cries out for focus. Yet the mind, like a chaotic battlefield, is overwhelmed by distractions, anxieties, and fleeting desires. It scrolls endlessly, compares everything, questions constantly, and spends countless hours on things that drain you, leaving your dreams abandoned in the background. The weight of exhaustion settles over you, pulling you deeper into an overwhelming sea of dread. What if this is it? What if life never changes? But consider this. What if, buried within ancient teachings, there lies a secret, a weapon forged by masters who walked the earth long before modern distractions ever existed? Imagine discovering the secrets of focus taught by monks over 2,600 years ago. Without apps or gadgets, they mastered the mind, not to control others, but to conquer themselves. They built empires of peace, leading lives of unmatched purpose, and their wisdom wasn't hidden away in sacred temples. It's here for you now, if you're ready to unlock it. Through 6 transformative lessons, you'll learn to silence the distractions, dissolve procrastination, and rewire your brain to seek discipline, not fleeting pleasure. These lessons aren't ordinary advice. They are ancient truths that shift your perspective. Imagine unlocking a focus so powerful that you surpass expectations without exhausting yourself. Stories of dedication, like monks meditating beneath waterfalls for years, or samurai practicing a single sword strike 10,000 times, will reveal what true mastery requires. You'll uncover the simple phrase Buddha used to calm anxiety within seconds, and understand why life's struggles are your greatest teachers when you learn to weaponize them. You'll cleanse yourself of toxic habits and embrace discipline as a path to personal freedom, not as a limitation. Life, as Buddhism teaches, is a process of continuous shaping. Imagine a potter's wheel spinning with a lump of shapeless clay. In its raw form, the clay is nothing more than potential. But as it spins, the potter's hands mold it, shaping it into something meaningful. This is your life. You are the potter, and your hands, your actions, choices, and intentions are what give form to your existence. Yet most people don't see it this way. Instead of grasping the power they hold, they blame external forces, fate, luck, or circumstances they can't control. They wait for life to happen to them, assuming that if they spin long enough, they'll magically become something they desire. In doing so, they surrender their power. Buddhism, however, teaches that karma is not an abstract force of fate or destiny. It is intentional action. Everything you do, think, and choose ripples through your life, shaping your experiences like a potter's steady hands on clay. To blame others for where you are is to hand them control of your clay. But ownership, far from being a burden, is your greatest freedom. The moment you accept responsibility for everything you've created, whether by action or neglect, is the moment you regain the power to reshape your life. Buddha once said, "You are the heir to your actions. Whatever you sow, you will reap." This isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to awaken you. If your choices built today's reality, then today's choices can build a better tomorrow. So, imagine waking up each morning with a powerful declaration. Today, I create my reality. How differently would you approach your day if you truly believed that every action you take contributes to the outcome? Would you still let distractions pull you away from your goals? Would you still wait for someone else to solve your problems? Each night before you sleep, Ask yourself, what did I contribute to today's challenges? This isn't an exercise in guilt. It's a practice of clarity. By understanding what you did to shape your experiences, you empower yourself to take intentional actions moving forward. Think about the areas in your life that feel out of control. Where are you letting others mold your clay? Is your reality a product of your own choices? Or is it being shaped by society's expectations, fear, or the opinions of others? What would happen if you reclaimed full control of that wheel? Life keeps spinning, whether you take charge or not. The only question is, will you shape your life, or will you let it harden into something unintentional and irreversible? If life is like a potter's wheel, then your intentions are the hands guiding its shape. Without direction, the clay becomes misshapen, inconsistent, or fragile. This is where the principle of right intention comes into play. Life is like a bridge suspended over turbulent waters. On one side lies uncertainty, regret, and stagnation. On the other, clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. The bridge is built one plank at a time, each representing a goal or intention that propels you forward. Discipline is the stance, focus is the arrow, and your goals are the target. But here's the truth. Most people never hit their mark, not because they lack talent, but because they don't hold their stance long enough. They waver, they rush, they give up too soon. Buddhism teaches the principle of ethical discipline, but discipline isn't about restriction. It's about creating a structure strong enough to support freedom. Think of a river. Without banks, it floods aimlessly, causing destruction. But with structure, it flows powerfully, carving its way through mountains. Your habits, routines, and daily discipline are the banks that guide the river of your life. Buddha once said, "Drop by drop, the water pot fills." Just as a single drop of water may seem insignificant, over time, it fills the vessel completely. Similarly, success, wisdom, and focus aren't built in grand, sweeping gestures. They are the result of small, consistent actions repeated until they become second nature. Many people underestimate the power of small actions. They think 5 minutes of meditation isn't enough to make a difference, or that reading one page of wisdom daily won't change them. But just like a single drop of water, those small actions accumulate. They reshape you. The biggest mistake people make is waiting for motivation to strike. But motivation is fleeting, like the wind. It comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is like the archer's stance. It keeps you steady, even when the wind shifts. To build discipline, start by attaching new habits to existing routines. Don't just say, "I'll start meditating." Instead, anchor it to something you already do. For example, after brushing your teeth, meditate for 5 minutes. After drinking your morning coffee, write down 3 things you're grateful for. When habits are tied to familiar actions, they become automatic. They become part of who you are. Ask yourself, what daily arrow are you failing to release? What small habit, if practiced consistently, could transform your life? No archer hits the target without practice. No river carves valleys without time. And no mind finds clarity without discipline. So, what habit could revolutionize your year? Picture yourself 1 year from now, more focused, disciplined, and in control. That version of you isn't built overnight. They are built one drop at a time, one arrow at a time, one habit at a time. Will you take the shot? Life, as unpredictable as it is, doesn't have to control you. It's like a river, constantly shifting and flowing. Some days, the waters are calm, effortlessly carrying you forward. Other days, they rage, pulling you under in a current of stress, doubt, and frustration. Most people spend their lives fighting against the current, exhausting themselves over things they can't control. But true wisdom isn't found in resisting the river. It's found in becoming the riverbank, steady and grounded. Buddhism teaches the art of equanimity, which is the ability to remain unmoved by external chaos because your foundation is rooted within. It's where Buddhist and Stoic philosophies converge, teaching that peace isn't found by changing the world around you, but by anchoring yourself in what you can control. Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." But most people search for peace in all the wrong places. They try to control others, obsess over the future, and agonize over the past. They fight against the river instead of standing firm on the bank. In truth, there are only 3 things you can control: your breath, your effort, and your ethics. Everything else is like water. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control your response. You can't control the storms of life, but you can control how you prepare for them. And yet, how often do we waste precious energy on things beyond our reach? The opinions of strangers, the expectations of society, or mistakes from the past? What if, instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, you mastered what was already within your grasp? When stress rises, ask yourself, is this mine to solve? If the answer is yes, take action. If the answer is no, visualize placing the worry in the river and watching it drift away. Let it dissolve into the flow. The more energy you waste on what you can't change, the less power you have to shape what you can. What river are you fighting against? Is it the need for validation, the fear of uncertainty, or the desire to control outcomes beyond your reach? Imagine how much energy you'd reclaim if you simply let go. True focus isn't just about where you direct your attention. It's about what you choose to release. Will you continue to struggle against the current, or will you become the riverbank, steady and unshaken? But too many people stand on the edge, waiting for direction to magically appear. They make vague wishes instead of defining their goals clearly, and as a result, they never move forward. In Buddhism, the concept of right intention is fundamental to living wisely. Most suffering, as the Buddha taught, doesn't come from failure. It comes from a lack of direction. An undisciplined mind scatters its energy, chasing distractions and comparing itself to others, while wondering why life feels so disorganized. But a disciplined mind, one with clear intentions, eliminates the chaos and builds momentum. When you set vague goals like, "I want to be successful," or "I want to be happy," you leave yourself open to distraction and failure. These goals are like fragile paper boats drifting aimlessly on the water. True clarity comes from specificity. Instead of saying, "I want to be healthier," you declare, "I am a person who nourishes my body and mind." Instead of saying, "I want to start a business," affirm, "I am a mindful entrepreneur creating with purpose." These aren't just affirmations. They're commands to your subconscious to act. Ask yourself, is your bridge built on vague wishes, or is it grounded in solid blueprints? Are your dreams backed by clear, actionable steps, or are they just floating ideas in your mind? Each day you hesitate, the waters of doubt rise, threatening to wash away your progress. The first step is always the hardest, but once taken, it sets a powerful momentum in motion. The clearer your goal, the easier it becomes to take the next step, then the next, and so on. Picture yourself standing on the other side of the bridge, looking back at who you are today. Would that future version of you be grateful for the steps you took? Or would they still be waiting, trapped in hesitation and regret? The planks you lay today determine how far you'll go tomorrow. Every choice you make, every intention you set, is a step closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. The question is, will you cross the bridge or remain at the edge, waiting for clarity that will never come on its own? Your mind is a forge, an ancient workshop where raw material is shaped into something unbreakable. But here's the harsh reality. Fire is required. Without heat, iron stays weak. Without effort, potential remains unrealized. Without discipline, the mind remains fragile, bending to every impulse, every distraction, every fleeting doubt. You are the blacksmith of your destiny, standing before the forge. The question is, will you wield the fire and craft something powerful, or will you let your potential rust away, unused and forgotten? Buddhist monks dedicate their lives to mastering the mind because they understand this simple truth. Growth is not optional. Stagnation is suffering. This truth lies at the heart of dukkha, the dissatisfaction that arises when we resist change, avoid challenges, and stay trapped in old patterns. And yet, many people continue to wait for life to improve on its own. They upgrade everything around them, their phones, their wardrobes, their cars, but never think to upgrade themselves. Buddha once said, "Irrigators guide water, fletchers shape arrows, and the wise master themselves." Just as water doesn't flow smoothly without guidance, and arrows don't fly straight without careful shaping, the mind doesn't achieve mastery through passive existence. It must be deliberately molded, sharpened, and disciplined. If you don't take control of your mind, the world will do it for you. If you're constantly overwhelmed, distracted, or restless, it's because your forge has grown cold. Instead of fueling it with discipline, you've fed it with distractions. Social media, mindless entertainment, and endless scrolling have sapped your strength, leaving your potential untouched. But what if you redirected that energy? Imagine replacing just 15 minutes of scrolling with reading one Buddhist sutra each day. That's not just knowledge, it's transformation. In a year, your mind wouldn't just be more informed. It would be stronger, disciplined, and sharp, like a blade tempered in fire. What skill could you master if you committed to this discipline? Is it resilience, focus, emotional control? Picture the version of yourself who has mastered that skill. The clarity in their eyes, the steadiness in their heart. That version of you isn't a fantasy. It's waiting on the other side of discipline. What if your next upgrade wasn't a new gadget, but a better version of yourself? Instead of chasing temporary distractions, what if you invested in your own mastery? The forge is waiting, the fire is ready, and you have everything you need to step into the heat. The only question is, will you? The discipline required for mastery is like that of an archer preparing to hit their target. An archer doesn't strike the bullseye by chance. They stand firm, align their stance, steady their breath, and release the arrow with precision.